Joining me now is Elaine Parker. We have given you her title. Elaine, where are we right now domestically with the status of the big, beautiful bill, and what is coming out? What have you heard is coming out of Senate Finance? Elaine Parker.
Well, as you know, a few weeks ago, Speaker Johnson and the House Republicans passed the big, beautiful bill out of the House. It's over in the Senate. And of course, there are some sticking points and it's being debated. They're making the sausage, right? And that's just how our process works. They're talking through some of the issues, that are tough. I mean, Rand Paul thinks there's, not enough cuts there, and raising the debt limit is a red line for him. And so they've kind of counted him out as far as being a yes. So they're working on some of the other senators and some of those issues. The SALT is an issue. Look, in the end, what congressional Republicans have to do is prevent a $4 trillion tax cut on the American people. And that's why they have to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 and give our small businesses and everyday ordinary Americans some certainty in their planning and to prevent them from having this massive tax increase. They just can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
And that's what we've got, Elaine. Some of the changes that the Senate Finance Committee that's working on it right now might make to this bill, we're all rooting for very minor, if no changes, so it can get right back through the House and President Trump can sign it in 2 weeks. What intel have you heard? What are some of the changes? I believe the Finance Committee is going to come out with their version of it in the next day or so, could be today. What have you heard might be some of the changes they're making?
It could be today for sure. And like I said, some of the issues that they're debating over are the SALT tax, and that's a big sticking issue that a lot of people don't like. I mean, frankly, I don't like it, but this is an important issue. This is very important for our small businesses. The good things that are contained in this bill directly go to small businesses and ordinary Americans. They are going to extend and make permanent those tax rates of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They're going to increase the small business tax deduction from 20 to 23%. Game changing is bringing back that 100% immediate expensing. For ordinary Americans, they're going to double the standard deduction. They're going to increase the child tax credit. And of course, the big promises from Trump during his campaign is no tax on tips and overtime. Those are all very important provisions that we are hoping that Senate Republicans keep included in the bill.
You mentioned earlier one thing that you thought they were going to take out or revise. I missed that. What was that again?
They're arguing, obviously, they don't like the SALT deduction, the state and local tax deduction. I know that's a big sticking issue for them, but it was a big sticking issue in the House too. So we'll just have to see. I mean, it's an issue where, we've got, a lot of people look at it as red states supplementing blue states, high tax, wealthy blue states, and they don't see it as fair. But again, I go back to, you just can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
I would like to see, that not deducted at all. They had to raise it to 40,000 to get New York votes and some of the moderate votes. Like, at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, that is not going to affect anything. It's not going to affect crap. What matters is all the provisions that you mentioned. And so once again, we're going to get stuck in this nonsense. We can only afford to lose 3 votes. The other thing that's fascinating to me is the House passed the $9.4 billion OMB rescission, getting rid of a measly $9 billion in waste and fraud. House passed it by 2 votes. Now it's going to the Senate. I'm being told it's not going to pass there. I mean, we have a majority of Republicans who can't even cut a measly $9.4 billion for the waste. They can't even do that. What is your reaction to that?
Look, I've heard so much, like you're calling it a measly $9 billion, but I mean, you have to start somewhere, John. Like it's kind of like losing weight. I mean, if you've got 50 pounds to lose, it's a lot to lose. But if you don't start losing that first 5 pounds to get motivated and see how you feel, you lose that first 5 pounds and you got a little bit of room and you got a little more kick in your step. it motivates you to lose the next 5 pounds and the next 5 pounds. I mean, you have to start somewhere. So $9 billion, yeah, I think it's a good start. And there's more to come. We've got a lot more to come, but you got to get started. You can't just say, oh, it's not enough, so let's do nothing.
I mean, the fact that I want to see the Republicans in the Senate that are going to vote no, but the problem is they'll never get it out of committee now because they're arguing about like NPR. Like, we don't have any money. It isn't all the people that say, oh, you're defunding NPR, it's going to go under. If you understand their business model, this is simply a percentage of the revenue. So all these radio stations, all these NPR radio stations, free PBS, public broadcasting, the majority of their funding comes from donors. So they're going to lose funding from the taxpayers because it shouldn't be funded by taxpayers. Go to your donors, have them, remember them Jerry Lewis telethons, have that, raise money, get out of my face. I don't care what you do. I just don't want to pay for it.
Exactly. Maybe you should go testify in front of them and explain how the radio model works in the radio business, because like I said, that part's a drop in the bucket. And what we need to do is move this bill forward, give our small businesses and everyday ordinary Americans some certainty and not wait until December. I mean, we don't need this kind of drama right now. We need to get this bill passed, this big, beautiful bill passed, so we can have a big, beautiful 4th of July.
I think the key is how it comes out of this finance committee. If it comes out, Elaine, mostly intact, I think we're in good shape. Now, I had rumors, you can't go by rumors, right? But I heard it a couple of days ago before, the parade that senators were trying to negotiate out no tax on tips and no tax on overtime in order to save money or whatever nonsense they were spewing out. It's like Trump campaigned on that. Like, people, I say this like 9 times a day. Guy got 77 million votes. How many votes did Rand Paul get in Kentucky? Not 77 million. So I just don't get these people. We have a majority. We have a 3-seat majority. We can have 3 people vote against it if that's what, floats their boat when they, fire up their curling iron in the morning or whatever Rand Paul does with his hair. Fine. But we can only lose 3 votes. Trump ran on no tax on tips. He ran on no tax on overtime. He has a bill that basically mirrors what his campaign promises were. What's the problem?
Well, those 2 issues go right to the heart of his base, and everyday ordinary middle-class Americans are earning tips and overtime. And those are important provisions. And, frankly, I can recall sitting next to a woman when I was taking a flight, and she specifically said, I'm voting for President Trump because of the no tax on overtime. And those are important provisions. I see it all over, all over the internet and people posting on social media. I saw a person post that they are a Ford worker, and he said he's never been busier, making so much overtime. I mean, these are important provisions for Americans who voted for Trump, and they should remain in the bill.
Elaine Parker, as always, I want to thank you for your insight. This segment has been brought to you by the Job Creators Network and their freedom fighters fighting for you every day. If you own a small business, why aren't you part of the Job Creators Network? It's the #1 thing you should do. Go to joinjcn.com. Joinjcn.com. You too can be a Job Creators Network freedom fighter. Join JCN.com. Most important check. You're right. That's what ends us. Beginning of the year.